Hello everybody, hope you guys aren't doing great. Today we're going to be looking at a multi-day strong severe weather day over parts of the north central United States. This is going to be impacting parts of the Dakotas and into Minnesota, and then by tomorrow it'll be into parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and into Wisconsin, and then moving eastward throughout the Great Lakes. So we're going to be going over all of that, your Storm Prediction Center outlook, as well as some of the model guidance that's coming out, and all of that in today's video. So we're going to start off here with your National Weather Service page. We have a very busy National Weather Service page. We have flood watches all throughout the southeast, especially throughout the track of a tropical storm Cristobal. We also have some tropical storm warnings in those dark reds, and some some gale, some storm surge warnings in effect for the southeastern parts of Louisiana there. We also have some wind advisories throughout Louisiana and Arkansas, as well as Mississippi and Alabama. We have some red flag warnings scattered throughout the entire portion of parts of Utah, Arizona, pretty much all of New Mexico, some of Texas, and a lot of Colorado, as well as some high wind watches in effect for parts of Kansas, Nebraska, and a little bit of eastern Colorado there. We also have some very cold weather over the western United States. You're going to have this deep upper level trough that's going to be swinging throughout parts of the western United States, and with that will come some very cold weather and also some snow in the higher elevations. And it's already June 7th, but we will be seeing some snow potentially throughout parts of western Montana and central Idaho and even northwestern Wyoming, where we actually have some winter weather advisories posted up. We have some freeze warnings, hard freeze warnings, and so on posted for parts of Nevada, Oregon, and California, mainly some of the desert areas in Nevada, so northern half of Nevada. You also get a little bit of elevation in there, so that'll also help with those colder temperatures, and you could see temperatures into the 20s, even the mid 20s, maybe even some teens, and then we even have some frost advisories posted in that lighter blue. But most of those areas are higher elevation areas that are going to be seeing the snow, higher elevation areas, and also areas where you could get some radiational cooling that will help bring down your temperatures. So those are the areas that are going to see those coldest temperatures. So here's your current Storm Prediction Center page and what they're forecasting here. They're putting out a slight risk throughout, stretching into Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming, and then much more of it throughout Montana, the Dakotas, and into western and northwestern Minnesota there. We also have an enhanced risk throughout the Dakotas and also northwest Minnesota, where you're going to have the highest risks. Now, this is your tornado probability, and you actually have a 2% chance in that green, a 5% chance in that brown, and a 10% chance in that hatched area throughout that black region, which is going to show the more likelihood of seeing EF2 or more tornadoes or stronger tornadoes. So that is definitely something that's very interesting, and definitely if you do get a tornado warning, that means that they've spotted a funnel cloud, which will indicate that tornadoes might be touching down soon, or there is a spotted tornado or a radar indicated tornado already on the ground. So if you do get a tornado warning, make sure that you're acting as if as if a tornado is coming right towards you, and take all the precautionary steps, such as going into an interior location, a bathroom, or if you have a basement, go down into the basement, and that would definitely be the best steps to take if you are under a tornado warning. Also, look down there in the southeast. We actually have a 2% chance and a 5% chance there of seeing some tornadoes, and that's mainly from Tropical Storm Cristobal, bringing in some of that Gulf moisture. Now, here is your chance of seeing some wind damage, and we actually have a 15% chance in that yellow, and then we also have a 30% chance in that red, and in that black hatched region, we have the chance of seeing seeing very, very strong winds. I believe it's over 60 knot winds, which is very, very strong out of these thunderstorms. Now, here's the chance of seeing, here's your chance of seeing hail. You have a 5% chance in the brown, 15% chance in the yellow, and a 30% chance in that red, as well as a hatched region, which indicates the probability of 2-inch diameter hail or greater. So definitely a lot of severe weather threats. Now, this is that was for today, and so now we're going to go into tomorrow. we have a marginal risk in that green, in the darker green, and then in the yellow you have a slight risk, and this might be upgraded. Maybe they'll put a enhanced risk, and maybe widen the slight and marginal risk out. We'll have to see about that for tomorrow, but they'll update that probably later on today, or either when they do their next update for tomorrow. So in terms of your individual risks here, we're going to look first at your tornadoes, and we have a 2% chance anywhere in that green, and we actually have three regions for that: northern Minnesota, parts of the southeast where you're having tropical storm Cristobal, and then also for parts of Nebraska and Kansas, you have a 2% chance in that green and a 5% chance in that brown, and then 15% chance of wind damage here, and then a 15% chance of hail damage here. Now, also something I want to notice or point out is that for your day one outlook, where you actually saw that you had an enhanced risk out, they actually put that in their day five outlook, where they actually put a 15% probability, and this was a couple days ago, a few days ago, that they put that out. Now, that is one of the only times I've seen it, one or two more times other than that, but they did, the fact that they put it in their day five outlook, which they rarely put anything in their day four outlook, but it does happen once in a while, but to put it in their day five outlook really shows that they were very certain that this was going to happen, and that they had fairly high confidence, and that it looked to be very significant enough that they had to put it on their website 5 days in advance. So that is definitely something very, very interesting to know. Now, here's your chance of seeing thunderstorms, your overall chance from the Weather Prediction Center. They're putting a 40% chance and a 70% chance there, so a very high likelihood for today. Here's for tomorrow: a 40% chance and a 70% chance as well. And then here's for Tuesday, and they again have a 40% chance and a 70% chance out. So definitely very high likelihood of seeing those thunderstorms there. Now here's your flash flooding risk, and the highest risk over the southeast with Tropical Storm Cristobal. We're not going to focus on that, but we're going to focus on the northern plains, where we have a marginal risk, a 5 to 10% chance, and a 10 to 20% chance in that yellow. Now here is where you're expected to see for tomorrow, which would be Monday into Tuesday. You're seeing a marginal risk, 5 to 10% chance of flash flooding, so not too high of a risk. But then, as Tropical Storm Cristobal, this is kind of a mixture of this cold front moving through, and then also Tropical Storm Cristobal making its way further to the north. You have a slight risk in place for there. Now, here is some of your models and what they're showing in terms of this storm. Now, here's your NAM 3CAM model and what it's showing in terms of simulated radar. So you see, throughout the day, it is actually going to be very, very warm here. So these are your actual temperatures here for your high temperatures. And you see, we actually have about 90 to about 95 degrees, and 90 degrees reaching all the way into North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, areas you wouldn't really expect to be this warm, but it's because you're having such warm temperatures just really moving very, very far to the north that you're going to see these storms really, really fire up as well. Look at these dew points, and this is the dew points just any random point that I picked out here. So we'll move it up a little bit more. But you see, we have dew points that are getting to about 70 to 75. You only really need dew points of about 60 degrees Fahrenheit to really fire up some storms. So that is definitely very, very interesting. So we'll go back here to your simulated radar, and you see how they just pretty much pop out from nowhere over central South Dakota and eastern North Dakota and western Minnesota there, and they move through. They're very, very strong lines of thunderstorms that are moving through. The reason that they had a 10% chance of tornadoes further to the north and a lower chance further to the south is because you really don't see too many tornadoes with these kind of line features, these squall lines that move through. But when you have this supercell activity, these scattered thunderstorms, that's where any individual storm has more room to grow. It also has a greater chance of seeing a tornado because they are more spread out, and that really helps it get spread out. And all this is because you have a low pressure into Saskatchewan in Canada, and that's actually driving these very warm temperatures all the way to the north. And you'll actually see probably some colder temperatures on the backside of this as the cold front moves through with this. But then you get another round. This would be by early on Monday morning tomorrow, and then getting through the early morning hours when you're still just waking up. They're just about all said and done with. So this is going to be this afternoon into the overnight time tomorrow. So here is your wind gusts out of this, and you are going to have very, very strong wind gusts. You even have some wind gusts that are approaching hurricane force in some of these areas. Over this is just from one model, but the model is indicating potentially hurricane force wind speeds out of this, and these are wind gusts. So these are going to be very, very high, and these are I really want to show you this because you can really tell where these thunderstorms are moving through. These little arrows and lines that are going through, that indicates the wind direction and where your winds are coming out of. So you have your winds coming out of the south, and then all of a sudden they start to move out of the east. So that indicates that you could get some rotation on this, and that would definitely be very, very interesting. And especially higher up, you actually do have a little bit of spinning, and you do have a little bit of different wave or different direction in your wind speed, and that could really, really help with some of your hail and also potentially some of your tornadoes that could fire up. And you see, at the peak, they're probably going to be wind speeds widespread of about 50 to about 55, maybe even 60 miles per hour here. So here is again your temperatures, and you see they are very, very warm ahead of this. And then you see they drop from about 90 degrees, which would be in kind of this dark red here, to just maybe 1 mile, 2 miles to the west of there. You have temperatures that are in the 60s. So that's a 30-degree temperature drop in just about maybe an hour or two. So that is definitely something very, very drastic here. And then finally, let's look at your CAPE values, your convective available potential energy. This is showing you how much energy you have, and it's very, very, very rare to see. Well, this would be pretty much the time that you would see this, June and getting to the summer months where it's warm enough in these areas. But it's very rare to see CAPE values of about 5,000 in parts of western Minnesota, eastern Dakotas. So that is very, very rare. Usually, these are type of numbers that you would see in southern Texas and into the southeast, and that would even be quite rare, especially if you get it into parts along the coastal areas. So if you, the fact that you have this that far to the north, again, all because you have a low pressure in north of there in Canada, that's kind of bringing up all this warm, moist air, that's allowing these CAPE values to really grow. And ahead of these storms, this is just ahead of these storms, look at these CAPE values widespread above 3,000, a lot of areas getting above 4,000, and even some isolated areas between 5,000 and 5,500 here. So that is very, very high over parts of eastern, north, and South Dakota, as well as western Minnesota there. And you see, it is so far to the north that this is going to really allow these storms to fire up. And you see how it fizzles out all of a sudden? That's because these storms are really eating up all the energy, and that's allowing them to really grow. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.